Papua New Guinea puts a stop to fishing in the lucrative dogleg waters. The NRI gives an optimistic outlook for the economy. And Kira LLG still lagging behind.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining us with Friday's news. Papua New Guinea has put a stop to all commercial fishing activities in and around the dogleg waters. National Fisheries Authority Managing Director says this decision was made by the NFA board and was effective as of the end of last month. The dogleg is a stretch of water that is situated on the borders of Australia, Papua New Guinea and Indonesia.
Area for us, but it's a very sensitive area. And
this remote stretch of water has been linked to illegal fishing and human smuggling. Last year, a PNG Defence Force operation apprehended 5 illegal fishing vessels in these waters. John Kasu, NFA's managing director, says the challenge for them has been surveillance.
They come in there, we don't have people, we don't have observers on board, on the boats, so we don't have any eyes there to see what's actually happening there.
PNG is set to lose nearly 1 million kina worth of revenue from the closure of this fishing site.
Those boats that have the license to fish have all asked to exceed that revenue versus the challenges that we have. I think it's more costly.
The cost weighing largely is the potential loss of export license to the European Union following PNG's yellow card from the European Commission. However, Mr. Kasu is optimistic about PNG's progress in having that yellow card lifted following a recent audit.
The debriefing was very positive on the audit that has taken place. So we are hoping for a positive response from Brussels.
As for commercial fishing in the dogleg waters, this will be decided following a review in the coming months. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The Prime Minister's office has confirmed that Papua New Guinean soldiers have rescued the 2 Indonesian men who were taken as hostages at the PNG-Indonesian border. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said both governments had communicated well, which resulted in the eventual rescue. Through careful planning by PNGDF and other security elements, this situation has been resolved without further loss of life, the Prime Minister said. Investigations into the events leading up to their captive are continuing, and the 2 men will be returned to their families. The National Research Institute has provided an optimistic outlook of the PNG economy, predicting a 7.7% growth average over the next decade. Much of the growth is expected in agriculture and other non-mining areas. The Institute says if spending in key areas, including infrastructure, if it continues, there will be an increase in employment in rural areas.
Coincidentally, the NRI did an analysis of the last 40 years. Their assessment is that the last 30 have not been too impressive. The period from 1975 to 2004 saw a population boom that outpaced Papua New Guinea's economic growth. The figures looked like this on paper. It basically means there were more Papua New Guineans being born over 30 years into an economy that struggled to support them.
At a time when the population grows faster than the rate of GDP, it's a concern because just take an example in a family context. If you have a family and then the number of members increase, but income doesn't increase.
But things changed in the last 10. LNG construction began, tax revenue increased, more mines came into operation, and the government placed more emphasis on agriculture development and SMEs. There was also more spending on what economists call key enablers: education, health, transport, and in particular communication, which transformed how Papua New Guineans do business.
The higher the competition, the better the services, and the better the services of the utilities also contribute to in terms of growth.
Into the future, the NRI predicts belt-tightening measures to be taken by government. They say it has to happen for economic success. The risk of overspending remains, and if overspending continues, PNG may not achieve the 7.7% growth rate expected. Scott Waide, National EMTV News.
Public servants in Gulf Province have been blamed for the lack of service delivery in the province. Gulf Governor Havila Kavo says there will be a restructure in the public services to recruit new public servants, while those who do not perform will be let go. He was appalled at the state of many districts during his visit on independence.
40 years on, but many areas of the Gulf province are still disconnected from the provincial capital. As such, vital services are not reaching the people. Schools are run down and teachers been put off payrolls for more than 6 months. This just gives a picture of what is experienced throughout the province. Governor Havila Kavo, on his recent visit to several districts on Independence Day, noticed the appalling state of many of the districts. He was concerned that people are being let down by public service bureaucracy.
Public servants, don't stop at where you are. Think that your days are over. You've got a lot to deliver to these people in Gulf Province. We have been stagnant over the years. We have been procrastinating the progress of development in this province because we have not had our projections and our heart at work.
He commended the people for their resilience in having to put up with the lack of government services in their various districts. With his court battle now over, Governor Kavo promised to deliver to his people. He has also made a call to all political leaders in the province to cooperate to deliver services. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Owner and Managing Director of Moresby City Realty Limited, Michael Kandiu, has called for a commission of inquiry into the Department of Lands. His call comes after his land title for portion 1671, Granville Bomana, was illegally forfeited without his knowledge. He is concerned that many Papua New Guineans are becoming victims of illegal practices within the lands departments.
A distressed Mr. Kandiu fronted the media this afternoon to protest the forfeiture of his land title to portion 1671 Granville Bomana. According to documents, Mr. Kandiu purchased the land in February 2012 under the name Glitter Ventures. However, he was surprised that the title was forfeited without his knowledge.
Well, I was holding on to the original title, yeah. This is my original title of the property. I've never received any letter asking me to surrender because we want to forfeit it, or even giving me a notice, to so-called notice, why I should, be forfeited. I never received any letters, and they went ahead and they forfeit the property. Later, I found it's a lot of irregularities in the procedure, and this is my title, Principal Glitter Ventures. It's my company. And I am the fifth person owner of this property.
Kandiu has returned to the Lands Secretary Romilly Kilapat and the Lands Minister Benny Allen, but has received unfavorable responses. He was never given any notice of the forfeiture by the Lands Department, and their silence has prompted him to speak out on the corruption within the Lands Department.
Activities carried by the certain land officials, getting bribery, selling properties, duplicating titles, and causing problems to some of our good Papua New Guineans. And I am one of them. We will become the victim of a couple or 2 or 3 people's inaction like this.
The matter has been reported to police, and those individuals identified to be involved will be investigated. He says action must be taken against these corrupt individuals to restore the good image of the Lands Department.
The government appointing a new secretary recently to getting into this department, first and foremost, is to sweep clean those officers involved, remove them in the middle management or even down the line, and remove them and put some good, clean people so that image of the Lands Department can be, because at this point in time, everybody knows that on the street is the Lands Department is the most highly corrupted department.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. This Friday, we'll bring you more stories coming up after this break. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Health, education and transport infrastructure are the national government's priority areas of service delivery. But the delivery of these services has not been seen in Kira in the Northern Province. EMTV's Fabian Hakalitz, who was in Kira, returned with this story.
Kira local level government is one of the most isolated areas in Papua New Guinea. It shares a border with Morobe and Central Province. The area can only be accessed by small aircrafts. This is because of the mountainous rugged terrain. Transport infrastructure and communication are common problems, just like other inland rural areas. It's a hindrance to other development like education and health. Villagers express the need for services to be established because little government presence. It takes 7 days to walk from Kira to Popondetta and 3 days to the nearest coastline to wait for boats that travel from Morobe. They have to walk over 6 mountains to reach their destination.
Go to Popondetta ship service, me plus I walk about 7 days a week. Go around to Popondetta kisim samplaka and help him. All government officers, na public servant, all lusimipla na all sa staff of town.
There is high infant and maternal mortality. Mothers die while ferried to Popondetta General Hospital.
Na all pikinini tu, ogat sick na, osaw die tu. Nogat how sick, nogat marasin, na mi plus a hatrulo service.
Health workers come and go. Many don't last in the area like this.
Mipla nogat health worker hiya na planti all pikinini, mama papa na all man ikisim sick na all sa die because of health worker inosa stawan temipla.
Soya MP Dilala Gore has prioritized health in the LLG. She was thanked by villagers for investing in health that will ease the overdue burden. A new health center has been built with 3 kit homes for health workers under the District Services Improvement Program funds.
Na by helping me pla man meli blo community blo papanuari na me pla by igat bipla hamamas inside Lord's pla health center.
Time through and building housing blom pla me pla gat bipla mamas long hem, but only 1 something me pla need him emosem me pla like more health worker lokam.
Kira LLG President Chester Nauri thanked the local MP for realizing people's needs in most rural areas. This facility serve the over 6,000 population.
The health facility has been run down for quite very long time, for almost 15 years, and it has been a difficult situation attending to that and addressing that issue.
Oro Provincial Health Authority Project Coordinator Matthew Malas told EMTV News strategic plans focus is to improve service delivery that needs political support. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Well, more than 30 young people have participated in the opening of the 8th Youth Democracy Camp at Lay's Akari Conference Centre today. The Youth Conference is an avenue that continues to develop young people to become accountable and reliable future leaders. Morobe Governor Kelly Naru, when speaking at the event today, said perceptions of corruption in PNG are sometimes misunderstood by cultural practices.
Today marks the first day of the 10-day conference that will be teaching youths principles of good governance for transparent future leaders. These young people have come in from various provinces with the aim of upskilling their leadership qualities. Their guest today was Morobe Governor Kelly Naru.
It is that perception that we have to manage and clarify to the rest of the world. And so my speech to them now is basically to encourage them to basically think critically when they're in leadership.
The
governor's comments comes following Transparency International's 2015 Corruption Perceptions Index, of which PNG was rated 154 out of 177 countries. The lawyer and Morobe governor said corruption in PNG is sometimes misunderstood for the many Melanesian cultural traditions practiced in most societies.
As very noble traditions going back many hundreds of years, which is based on the notion of sharing and caring and giving and all that.
Director of the Youth Democracy Camp, Brian Aloy, says accountability clears different perceptions that different people see about certain behaviors or actions.
Some people will take it differently, and unless you tell people, where did you get that?
This 8th annual conference by Transparency International has attracted more than 30 young people from various provinces within the country. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
Well, one school in the nation's capital is aiming to achieve independence of economic value in the near future. The Port Moresby National High School today opened its new conference centre with the aim of generating income for the school. The conference centre is the first major development for the school since it was opened in 1996.
Port Moresby National High School is one of the newer national high schools in the country. Opened in 1996, the school was a gift to PNG from the Japanese government. Guests at today's event included the Minister for Education, Nick Kuman, and the Ambassador of Japan, Morio Matsumoto. Completed at a cost of 2 million kina, the convention center was built from steel and concrete by contractor J4J Construction Limited. It is named after the current school principal, David Diowai, who said the purpose of the infrastructure is to generate income for the school, as well as be a better teaching and learning facility. The convention center is open for business and will be managed by an appointed property and business manager so that the school administration will focus on the core functions of the school. The current school hall generates 180,000 kina in revenue for the school. The new convention center is expected to raise 500,000 kina annually in revenue. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now let's check out the finance news. The kina closed at $0.3520 US in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3460 US, $0.4783 Australian dollars, 0.2997 euro, and 41.20 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, crude oil, copper closed higher, while copra and palm oil closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 65 points higher, the ASX closed at 48 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 48 points higher as well. And National EMTV News continues after these short messages. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, following the Cuban Revolution in 1959, US-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista was overthrown. Leader and then President Fidel Castro banned religion. Now, however, the country is reconnecting increasingly with Christianity through its educational initiatives. MTV's Alana Lay has this report.
Cuba was previously an atheist nation for decades, but for the first time, Catholicism is flourishing. But despite troubles Cuba's churches still face today, which include low attendance and disinterest among the youth, the churches fought back with education and training programs, with topics ranging from English to business.
La Iglesia ha logrado tener centros de formación de libre.
The churches managed to have free education centers for citizens. These education centers have proliferated in the country without any kinds of obstacles on behalf of the Cuban government, and I think from there the church could start participating in education. That is to say, not participating in the national education system, but supporting the formation of values, a humanistic development, additional training to that of the state education.
Cuba eliminated religious schools in 1961, replacing it with free government education. But the leading Castro administration has slowly begun to accept the increasing Catholic institutions, providing education to thousands of Cubans, varying from preschoolers to university students.
A principio, el gobierno no fue favorable, como está viendo.
The government was not favorable at first, but at seeing the results of the schools, it slowly became tolerant of it. So much so that some 12 years ago, we started teaching in non-formal ways. But after running them for 15 years, we were offered this house so that we could give classes to all the children that were spread out between the 3 churches.
An estimated 3 to 5% of Cubans attend Mass regularly, despite 60% of Cuba's total population being baptized. For some, the church's role in education is deeper than just education.
This project is very good for the children, for mothers who are housewives. They can come and see how good this is, the love and affection they give to the children, the education, everything. It's a very nice project and I like it. It makes me happy that my granddaughter is here.
Alana Lee, EMTV World News.
Turning to Europe now, and Croatia is facing new challenges as it deals with thousands of migrants and refugees at its border with Serbia. The country's interior minister says more than 73,000 people have crossed and entered the country since the middle of this week.
These are scenes that Croatia probably did not anticipate when they opened their border on Wednesday. Chaos here at a train depot very close to the border here in Croatia as the sheer mass of migrants and refugees desperate to push through are heaving against lines of riot police. It's hot here. You can see the perspiration on people's faces, and they're trying to push their children through one by one past the police who are having to try to hold back the masses of people on the other side. And come take a look over here. Crowds gathered behind fences here, passing their children over the fence. Clearly, the Croatian authorities, overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of people who crossed, more than 5,000 people in the first 24 hours. There are buses waiting to take people to administrative centers where they can apply for asylum in the capital, Croatia, in other cities as well. But for now, this is a situation that has rapidly grown out of control. Again, just a little bit more than 24 hours after Croatia announced that the migrants and refugees would be welcome to enter this Balkan country.
Still on refugees, a father and his 8-year-old son who were tripped by a camera lady in a field near the Hungary border have been given a new home and a new life, while the camera lady caught tripping the refugees has been fired by her company.
It was the trip seen around the world. A Syrian refugee running with a child in his arms tripped by a camera woman while fleeing police near the Hungarian border. The video caused an international outrage, and the Hungarian camera woman was fired. Now, that same refugee father received a much different welcome in Spain on Thursday. Osama Abdul Mohsen and his 2 sons were greeted with applause at this Madrid train station. The 52-year-old Mohsen was overwhelmed.
I love you. I love Madrid. I love España. All España. Thank you for all. This very, very important for my life. I am here with you. Thank you very much.
It turns out Mohsen is a football coach who managed one of Syria's top teams until the country's civil war forced him to flee to Turkey. When the president of a school for coaches in Spain heard Mohsen's story, he arranged for Mohsen to travel to Madrid and offered him a job.
La connotación de que es entrenador de fútbol de primera división en Siria.
The fact that he is a football coach in Syria and we are the National School of Football Coaches leads to solidarity because we are colleagues. So we said, how are we going to support these people?
The school is also providing Mohsen with an apartment, language training, and schools for his children. Mohsen's wife and the rest of his family, who are still in Turkey, are expected to come to Spain next week. And the family will be guests at Real Madrid's next match. A remarkable turn of events for Mohsen, from being tripped in a field in Hungary to starting a whole new life in Spain, all of it in little more than 1 week.
Well, National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up after this break. Stay tuned for all the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To weightlifting, Papua New Guinea's Commonwealth gold medalist Dika Toa will be undergoing training in New Caledonia in preparation for the Rio Olympics next year. MTV's Rafaela Kaore reports.
Dika Toa competed at the 2015 Pacific Games, winning gold in the clean and jack in her 53 kg weight division. Dika has been running her weightlifting club, LTD, in Hanwabada coaching young lifters. Dika was in the country after the Pacific Games. She will be undergoing training in New Caledonia for a couple of months to prepare for the Rio Olympic Games.
For New Caledonia, I will be preparing for the Rio Olympics. I have been selected to represent Papua New Guinea, but that's not the final selection. We will have to qualify in merit, or if we don't qualify in merit, then the team will have to qualify one of us. That's including Steve, and the men's team has to compete to see if we can qualify a man and a female to represent Papua New Guinea at the Rio Olympics.
Dika departed this afternoon to meet up fellow weightlifters and Jan's sister Telma Toa, who has been training under the guidance of Coach Paul Koffa in New Caledonia.
Both of us, myself and Stephen Curry, and then my younger sister Thelma Toa, and also Moria Baru, who are in the team for the Rio Olympics. So yeah, we'll have to fight it out amongst ourselves and see who goes to the Rio Olympics.
She will prepare for next month's World Championship and other major events coming up soon. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
Well, PNG's Thaddeus Katua, the 18-year-old boxer who made history at this year's Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa, is now setting his sights on Rio. Katua won gold in the 59-kilogram lightweight division at the recent Pacific Games, then went on to win another gold in the 60-kilogram bantamweight division at the Commonwealth Youth Games. MTV's Shane Saroy reports.
Thaddeus Katua, a name that will go down in the record books of PNG sporting history. The young man from a small village of Carteret in the autonomous region of Bougainville became the first Papua New Guinean to win gold in the Commonwealth Youth Games. He took up boxing at an early age and eventually making his way to represent his province in the 2012 PNG Games, where he won gold. He took part in several fights before making the final cut in the selection trials in Goroka for the looming Pacific Games. Katua is the first Papua New Guinean to win gold at this level, and is a proud achievement for this down-to-earth and humble fighter.
Golo youth Commonwealth because I'm big play gamer na me kimi me stop antap stereta.
He has had big influence in his life, including his coach.
Something now pin go shoot him lo knife. Na sa time to me play on place na me go to lo Carteret. And na me harim ta sola na me sorry straight long yam. I'm doka me no train ano.
After his coach passed away, Katua was devastated and uncertain about continuing with the sport he loves dearly. But it was his older brother who insisted he should continue on with his personal training, and with sheer determination and commitment, it paid off. He was called back to Port Moresby by the PNG Boxing Federation to train and prepare for the 2015 Pacific Games. And he trained alone without the coach back in his home village of Carteret in Bougainville.
Now I am not trainer now. So me sa training lo place. Time all boss lana sa talk place one me
At home, he had little support and could only manage with a pair of gloves and a boxing bag. And with no assistance, the young man works hard to pay for his own training equipments. The valiant young boxer took the limelight when he won gold in the lightweight division in the recently held Pacific Games.
Yeah, me think back lo, go back na lo place na wala ni mall, lig, angkol na liling barata, lo, kisim time lo mi, suppose me finish na all by, kisim time lo mi na lo, boxing na.
His win in the Youth Games now qualifies him for Rio 2016, where it will be the youngster's biggest challenge of his lifetime. But brave Katua is certain for one thing.
Think strong again lo, win him gold, that's all.
Katua's example now shines a light on PNG's sporting fraternity to look seriously into this matter, and as there are many athletes like him around the country who are struggling without support. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
Well, the national softball titles kicked off on Wednesday at the Bisney Sports Complex with 13 teams taking part in this year's tournament. Madang Kings are the reigning champs in the men's division and Port Moresby Gold in the women's. Visiting team Canberra Giants went up against Madang Kings in Wednesday's opening match. Tournament director Fred Tarasomo says this tournament is in its 40th year, which coincides with independence.
Game to watch as Madang Kings proved their standing as champions, playing to the best of their ability, but it wasn't enough to secure the win. Tournament director said this tournament is in its 40th year, which coincides with this year's independence.
Thank you. The national softball titles this year is our 40th national softball titles, and it so happened that it's staged here in Port Moresby. It normally happens every year, and this is a sanctioned National Softball Federation tournament. So this year we have decided to call it after the Pacific Games because a lot of things were happening. So
9 men's teams and 4 women's teams have joined the competition, with newcomers Manus to one day be a threat to the other teams.
Given another 4 or 5 years with the development of the code, I think Manus, as we know, they are very spirited people and very sportsmanship type of people. So I think they're going to be a threat in our softball fraternity. But given time, so we're working very hard.
The tournament is set to be a blast and will finish this weekend with the winner taking home the title and the shield. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Well, day one of the Best of Southern Region football tournament commenced today after more than a month's delay. The Bisney Sports Complex hosted 12 men's and 7 women's teams in 2 pools respectively. The big results came in the women's, with PMSA thrashing a hapless Higaturu 12-0.
The women from the country's biggest football association, PMSA, didn't waste any time showing their dominance early, and their first goal came in the 3rd minute. They would soon double that lead and triple it a few minutes after. And by half-time, it was PMSA 5, Higaturu 0. Other results in the competition had Kaupa 2 beat Nawane by 6-2. Higaturu beating Loa Sogeri by 4-1, and Kaupa 1 in the women's division thrashing the NCD Public 7 Soccer Association by 5-1. Perhaps some of the biggest surprises have come from the Kaupa Association in the Rigo district, and they'll be up against the likes of PMSA and PSSA in the men's division. Officials have told me that on Sunday the playoffs should begin with the grand final for the southern leg of the Best Regional Tournament set for Monday afternoon. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports continues after this break with AFL and the Rugby World Cup. Stay with us for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Over to AFL, the Binatangs are aiming to sing this year's Under-14 Queensland State Championships. 20 new faces have lined up for the Binatangs, with a number of experienced young guns from the 2013 AFL Academy. The team departs for Brisbane today, where the championships have begun.
12-year-old Wayne Keu from Kimbe is among 20 new faces who make up the Under-14 Binatangs team travelling to Brisbane for the Under-14 Queensland State Championships.
Oh, the boys they've done very well in training. We also had boys from outside who were under their coaches. And a couple of them flew in yesterday while we were celebrating our independence, and a few today. I think I would say mostly new faces, all of them.
How many from the outside centres?
3 from each region. We have 3 from Kimbe, 3 from Cavian. We're still waiting for Lay to come in. And then we have the rest from Mosby.
With a 5th place finish in last year's championships, the Binatangs are aiming for a top 3 finish this time around.
Oh yeah, more or less yes, because we've trained very well. And now that we have majority of the kids from Mosby, which the competition here is much tougher than the ones from the outside region. So I would say yes.
The 22-member team were all selected into AFL PNG's academy after the staging of the regional annual championships. AFL PNG continues to roll out its development program New Kick to equip junior footballers with necessary skills and rules of AFL. The Binatangs will be joined by Brisbane-based Callum Harrison and coach Ben Drew, also accompanied by assistant coach Jeconiah Penny and team manager Willie Yogobin.
Just moral support from the family and friends, and PNG is all to back us up in this. You will see that most of the kids are very young and they need that support.
Skola Sengi, National EMTV Sports.
Over to rugby as the anticipation builds up just hours before the opening match of the 2015 Rugby World Cup between Fiji and England. Fiji is going in as favourites coming off the back of a good build-up. English coach Stuart Lancaster has picked the same side that secured a home victory over Ireland in their warm-up match. Fiji's John McKee has named Nicola Matawalu, Nemani Nadolo and Veroniki Goneva in his starting 15.
Sort of match you couldn't take your eyes off.
In their lead-up match to the 2015 Rugby World Cup, England thrashed Ireland 21-13, with Johnny May, Anthony Watson and Richard Wigglesworth dominating with their attack. Their dividends have paid off in their build-up matches. However, the real deal is when the whistle blows for kick-off against Fiji in the early hours of Saturday morning at Twickenham Stadium.
We've been building up for a long time, and forget the pre-season and those conditioning sessions. It's about doing what we've practiced and getting into it now, and we can't wait.
Wigglesworth, who has been named on the English bench, has said the team must rely on their set piece and focus on their lineouts against Fiji.
Set piece we're going to have to get right first and foremost, hopefully. We can get some ascendancy up front. Jeff's been into run the lineouts, so I'm sure it'll be immaculate. But at all bits of our game we're going to have to be good. We know they're a good team, and if we give them turnover ball and they lose play, then they're going to punish us. So keep hold of the ball as well as we can, and if we are going to give it away, kicking wise, then make sure it's good.
Fiji, however, will be sure to match up to England's attack, but whether or not they can equalise in the technicalities of the breakdown is a question that can only be answered on game day. Leone Nakawara, Kempisi Mafu and Manasseh Saulo have been named in the forwards, while Nemani Nandolo has been named in the back line alongside Nicola Matawalu at half-back and Waisea Naidelevu on the wing.
Oh, superb try from Fiji! That is an absolute world-class score from Matawalu.
Matawalu and Naidelevu have been in outstanding form for the Flying Fijians, particularly in the Pacific Nations Cup and in their most recent 47-18 defeat over Canada.
From Nicola Matawalu, the scrum half.
Well, still on rugby, and in their first news conference, Wallabies coach Michael Cheika says the Aussie side has worked really hard in the lead up to the World Cup. They will be looking forward to a physical affair against Fiji next week. Captain Stephen Moore says the team still has a lot to improve on before game day, but the best is yet to come.
We are relatively young and experience-wise, but we're doing our best, preparing the best we can, and we've tried to make a strong plan from that day to now, and about things we're going to improve off the field and on the field around our physical, tactical, mental, our rugby play. So we've worked really hard and really honestly, and you know, we're in a position now where we're keen for the tournament to start and to get stuck into it.
Like Czech said, we've been working hard in this preparation. We've been in the US for a couple of weeks, got a lot of hard work done over there, so we know that's what it's going to take here when we start playing, so we're very much looking forward to that first game.
Well, that's where we leave True Kai Sports tonight. The weather details coming up after this break. Stay tuned for that.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Thank you. And now let's check out the weather for the next 12 hours in southern region, Port Moresby and Carriman, to look forward to cloudy weather with chances of patchy rain. In Momasia, Lake City, mostly fine, including all the other centres. In the New Guinea Islands, cloudy weather with possible showers expected in Lorengau. And lastly, in the Islands regional centres, to look forward to cloudy weather with chances of some rain. As always, before we go, a recap of our top stories again tonight. Papua New Guinea puts a stop to fishing in the lucrative dogleg waters. Also, the NRI gives an optimistic outlook for the economy, and Kira LLG still lagging behind. Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin this Friday. Thanks heaps for your company. On behalf of the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. You have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Good night.